All right, welcome back to the Three Amibros podcast. And today we have a first, and that is this is the first time two of the Amibros have been missing the same week. We try every week to get everyone on every single time, but it doesn't always work out. Life happens. We all have jobs, full time, obviously. Uh, so it doesn't always work out, but for the most part, we have all three guys on, and sometimes we have to have just two guys. But right now, I'm I'm left hanging just a little bit. I'm all by myself. And I was going to start this podcast off by talking about the huge trade that the Phoenix Suns made this past, I think Sunday. The deal was announced for Bradley Beal. But I think actually I need to start this off with a little bit of a rant now that I'm feeling it here in the moment. Because a couple weeks ago, I myself had to miss this podcast. And it just came back to bite me in the ass because I tried to be a nice guy. I felt bad for missing it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave these guys with some ideas as to some things they could talk about. Just ideas. Not saying, hey, you better talk about this or that, or this is all you can talk about. I just thought, hey, I'd throw them out some easy topics to make it easy for them to make an outline for our show. And instead, what they do is they take what I wrote as a simple text message while I was trying to do some other shit, and they read it verbatim, my mistakes and all, because I wasn't trying to be Getty about the Pistons hire. I was trying to be giddy. Also, not something I would have said here on this pod. It was just a quick word to use in a text, but now I know better. But I think from now on, I'm just always going to be giddy. But actually, that doesn't even drive me crazy. I thought that was funny. And in fact, the podcast was great. I must have wrote a bitchin' outline for them because the podcast was great. What grinds my gears is they shit on me saying that I'm bossy and I made them an outline because I didn't trust them and they had to follow it. Uh, but at the end of the day, I mean, the episode was great, so they're welcome. And now here I am by myself trying to make this episode great. And Alex might join us here in a little bit. There's a possibility, and I can tell you that he's gonna say something stupid in like the first 10 seconds. It happens every damn week after week. There's not much things in sports that you can bet on and be right 100% of the time, but this one is. And he's gonna come on here, and both him and I wear hats. I love hats, but he always has some stupid fucking hat on. So I'm going to predict he's going to be wearing a stupid hat and he's going to say something ridiculous in like the first couple minutes tops. Give him 2 minutes, and that's so much time for him to say anything that's going to get us canceled or going to make me have to edit this podcast. So he might come on here, and I look forward to that so we can riff and go back and forth on some of the wild news going around the sports world. But till he does, I'm just left hanging. And guess what, guys? I don't have an outline. I don't have anything. Do you think Justin and Alex sent me one to be nice? No. No, they didn't think, oh, hey, I'm missing the pod. I should try and contribute in some way, try and help this guy out. He helped us out every time that he wasn't there. He always contributed, but fuck him this week. He's by himself. I might as well get a volleyball and paint a face on it just so I have something to look at and talk to because I'm just here by myself. But that's okay. That's okay because I think I can make this podcast awesome without an outline. And just go right into it. And if Alex decides to join, that's when this podcast is going to go a bit downhill. And that being said, the question is, are the Phoenix Suns going uphill or downhill? after their huge trade for Bradley Beal. And I think the question is, or the answer rather, is both. Devin Booker, KD, Beal, that's a deadly trio right there. You're not guarding that trio. They're going to score on you left, right, and center. You're done. The problem is what about the rest of that team? It sounds like they're still trying to move Ayton. I don't know if any team out there is going to take that contract, but I feel like they're not going to have Ayton next year. And they have no bench. They have nobody. We saw that be their downfall this year in the playoffs. They fell to an amazing Denver Nuggets team who'd go on to win it all, but it wasn't even close. There was one game that was close, the one that the Suns actually won, but their losses were brutal, and it's because they had no depth to that team, and they still don't. They gave up so much for KD. They lost their bench with KD, and now they've lost picks and even more for Beal. And so it'll be interesting to see how they do this year. I think if everyone's healthy, they'll be a top playoff contender, no doubt. But the problem is, not only do they not have depth, they don't have defense. None of those guys play defense. So all it's going to take is for a team who can play good enough defense to slow them down. They're not going to stop them. They're going to score, but slow them down and then just play great offense themselves. And the Suns, what are they going to do? It's going to be a shootout at that point. But I don't know. I like Beal. I've always liked Beal. I think he had a couple really fun years with the Wizards, and like Damian Lillard, he kind of needs to go somewhere else. Like he's been there quite a while, and he's still very much in his prime. So I think he deserves to go to a contender like the Phoenix Suns and see what happens. Speaking of Lillard, it seems to be up in the air whether or not he's staying. He's liking stuff on Twitter from what I could see about, I think, Zion Williams coming to the team. So that leads me to believe that he still wants to stay in Portland. But then you hear other rumors of him wanting to go down to Miami, which would be ideal for me. I think that would be a really fun matchup between him and Jimmy Butler and Bam. I think that would be a really fun team. And who knows, maybe the finals go differently this year if Lillard was on that Heat team and it wasn't just pretty much solely on Jimmy. And obviously Tyler Hero was out the entire series with an injury, which hurt them too. But I think Lillard could really put that team over the edge. Because right now it's just Jimmy pretty much 90% of the time carrying that offense, and he carried them all the way to the finals. You throw Dame in there, now that's a scary team. That's a team that can play defense and play offense. But I think that's pretty much it. I'm very excited, since I didn't have a chance. I'm very excited about Monty Williams coming to the Pistons. I think we have a great young core, and I think he's going to be awesome in developing them into more mature basketball players, because it's very young. So I think the youngest team in the league, if I'm not mistaken. So a guy like Monty, who can really, he's really shown in his time with the Suns, with Devin Booker specifically, like how he can groom a young player into a budding star. And we need that for Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and possibly Jalen Durant. He looked really good this year. So we'll see. Sky's the limit for that team, I think, as far as potential. Now we missed out on the number 1 overall pick. I don't really know who's all that exciting when it comes down to number 5, but hopefully they find a solid player that can mesh well with the team and see what Monty can do this year. I don't know if we're necessarily a playoff team this year. I think if Cade comes back and has a monster recovery season, and Ivy takes a huge step forward, then yeah, I think we're a playoff team. The East is, I don't want to say easy, but like it's an easier road to the playoffs right now. So I think they have the potential. And that's really all I have about the NBA. Moving on to my favorite topic. Actually, my second favorite topic. And since Alex and Justin aren't here, I can talk about it all I want, and that's college football. But specifically, not anything to do with the actual NCAA, even though it is exciting to see some of the teams like USC take pictures in their jerseys that now say the Big Ten on it, and seeing the schedules of what it could be like. I think in 2024, Michigan's going to have a home game against USC or an away game. It's one or the other. I think an away game at USC and then a home game with UCLA, or vice versa. Either way, they play them both right off the bat. And one's home, one's away. I think USC has to go to Ohio State. So, I mean, just those new matchups in these conferences. You also got new teams in Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. I just think it's going to be exciting for college football to now see all these new matchups that we didn't get to see unless they happened to be matched up in a bowl game for many years. So I think UCLA and USC are great additions to the Big Ten. And I think, I don't know, it just feels right to have the Rose Bowl stadium be a part of the Big Ten, because the Rose Bowl has been such a big bowl game for both the Big Ten and the Pac-12. But it's always been a special venue. So to have it now in the Big Ten is pretty cool. But actually, my biggest gripe with college football right now is the video game. That is like hands down the best sports video game ever created, in my opinion. And I've been so excited the last couple years with the speculation of EA making it again, working out a deal to be able to pay all these athletes for their name, image, and likeness or whatever. And they finally, I think they announced, it was originally supposed to be this July. And then I think they pushed it back to next summer. And then now they're getting sued from some entity for not negotiating with them when it came to getting the NIL deals for all these college athletes, which, by the way, apparently is like a shit amount. I think it's like $500 per player. But in the grand scheme of college football, if you think about how many college football teams there are that'll be in the game, and you're talking a roster of over 100 kids on every team, that's a lot of money all in all. It just breaks down to a shitty amount per player. But now they're getting sued, so guess what? I guarantee the game's getting delayed. And the problem is with that is nobody cares about the college athletes being in the game. If you love this game, that doesn't matter, because you're playing this to be a part of, you pick a school and you be the coach, you run that program, you recruit. So after the first couple years of your quote unquote dynasty, no one's there anyway. It's all created players anyway, because you're rolling through freshmen, junior, seniors, and whatever. So quickly, those guys aren't even in. And so no one gives a shit. Don't put anyone's name in there. Don't put anyone's likeness in there. Make it completely different, because no one gives a shit. They just care about the school and the gameplay and the dynasty mode to be able to recruit and do all that. As long as that's solid, you will make so much money on this game. People are been waiting since 2014 for another edition of this game. You will make hand over foot. You can put this game at $80 and it will sell out instantly. And instead, they're making such a big deal about an aspect of the game that the people who are going to hand over that money do not care about. Get the rights to use all the schools' license looks and music and all that, and that's all you need. Like, Don't make anyone look like anybody or play like anybody in real life. Because it doesn't matter. If it's USC and Caleb Williams is the quarterback this year, guess what? Make him a fat white guy who doesn't run out of the pocket. Doesn't matter. People are going to buy the game. And so that's my biggest rant about college football right now. It's kind of nice that it's not anything with the rules or the gameplay of itself. It's something as stupid as a video game. But that game, if you've ever played it, McJam, is the greatest sports game of all time. Simply just for the dynasty mode. I don't know why. It's way better than Madden for that aspect. Let's see. Oh, look, Alex hasn't even responded to me asking when his ETA is. See, not only did he not leave me an outline to do this week, guy can't even give me an ETA. Like, who is this guy? I'm gonna give him so much shit when he gets on. If he gets on, I'm not gonna end the entire time. I'm not gonna even let him talk. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. If he gets on and joins us, he can watch, but I'm gonna mute him and he's not gonna be allowed to talk. And where was I? Yes. So let's go on over to the NFL. Not that much going on with it not being the season. It's kind of that lull where training camp and the real practices haven't begun yet. So it's just kind of like, oh, what are guys doing for their workouts? So speaking of that, you got Russell Wilson posting some thirst trap workouts where he's working on this slider bar, trying to do all this fancy bullshit. Then I'm not saying it's not great, but it's just like, okay, you're purposely doing stuff that's a little over the top just to be able to make a cool highlight reel and put it out. But that's what Russell Wilson's known for. It wouldn't be Russell Wilson if he didn't put out some highlight content in the off season, pumping everybody up for the next year. So he's out there doing that. You got guys like Jack Jones getting arrested for carrying a couple Glocks through airport security, which is, a fun time, I'm sure. The funniest thing about that, not that that is a funny story, but he just a couple weeks ago was tweeting at Ja Morant about waving guns around on social media and gun safety and whatnot, which I will agree with him every single day of the week. I think Ja's 25-game suspension is a little weak, but it at least isn't that weak. I mean, that's a pretty significant suspension. But I'll totally agree with him. But I think if you're going to talk about gun safety, I think knowing where your guns are at all time kind of falls under that gun safety thing. So I'm sure he went through that airport not knowing that was on him. I can't imagine he did. But the fact that he didn't know they were there, it's like, dude, you have 2 loaded guns and you don't know where they are at all times. It's pretty stupid, if you ask me. And so we'll see, because I've been hearing some different things about his potential sentencing. It sounds like if he gets regular treatment, that he's looking at least 18 months or 2 years in jail, all the way up to like 25, 30 years. He's facing several charges. McJam, do you happen to have all of his charges pulled up? Because it's like 4 or 5. He's got quite a few of them stacked up, and he's pleading not guilty. From what I could see, I don't know if he was pleading not guilty to all of them, but from what I could see, he was pleading not guilty. And I'm surprised that the Patriots haven't done anything yet. My only thought is they're thinking, well, at the bare minimum, he'll probably still be able to play this year. This is probably going to be a drawn out court process that won't get resolved until after the season. So maybe they're thinking we can at least get 1 more year out of him. Do you have those charges, McJam?
Yeah, so he's being charged with 2 counts of each possession of a concealed weapon in a secure area of the airport, possession of ammunition without a firearm identification card, unlawful possession of a firearm and carrying a loaded firearm. Um, and me being an ASU fan, it's sad because this is not his first time being in trouble with the law. So you're just hoping things changed, but it doesn't look like it's going in the right direction here.
What do you mean? What was his original run in?
He was originally for playing for USC.
Okay.
I don't know the exact details, but he was arrested for some type of burglary charge, and then USC dropped him, and that's when ASU picked him up in
No
like
shit.
2019. Yeah.
That's so funny because what I saw today after the trial and everything, his lawyer was interviewed by a bunch of people, and she was basically saying that the media and everyone is trying to, and social media is trying to paint him out to be a thug for this, and like she's not a thug, he's never done anything to be like all this. And I'm thinking, now I particularly haven't heard anything like that. I've just heard people saying that's pretty fucking stupid, like to not know where your guns are type of a deal. I haven't heard anything that made him out to be a thug. I'm sure it's out there. But then now you're telling me that he literally has burglary charges. It's like, maybe he is. Was he convicted on that, or was it just charges?
So I found the details there. He was arrested um, in 2018, charged with breaking into a Panda Express at 3 a.m.
I remember that.
And it looks like he was booked in Ventura County Jail and held on a $20,000 bond. So he was definitely charged for it.
I hope, um not that it really makes it any better, but it at least explains it. I hope he was drunk. I hope he was so drunk that at 3 in the morning he was just like, man, I could really go for some Panda Express right now.
I mean,
And
it seems like this was like a one-time thing in like 2018, 2019.
okay.
And he intended on returning to USC, but I believe they like didn't want him. And so that's when ASU sent him an offer, and he had no legal troubles at all while at ASU for a year. And then obviously went to the NFL and been a couple of years since then. So definitely a sad situation.
That is sad. And honestly, now that you told me exactly what it was, that, I mean, that's bad, but that's not that bad. Like when you hear
Yeah.
burglary, you kind of think something darker than just breaking into a unmanned Panda Express at 3 in the morning. uh but I'm sure, yeah, he had to have been like drunk or high and had the cravings for it and was just like, I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
at nothing. I need that panda. I remember one time me and Justin, we uh did a bunch of drinking one night, and the only thing on our minds was Jack in the Box. And luckily Jack in the Box is open like all freaking night. So it's like no big deal. We got all those greasy tacos and it hit the spot. Panda Express, they're not holding those hours. And but Jack Jones wasn't gonna have it. He wanted that sweet and sour chicken. Good for him. Not for getting caught though, and even worse now for getting caught with guns in the airport. But I can only imagine, like, because I get nervous going through TSA, and I'm like, I certainly don't have guns in my bag. I don't carry anything in my bag that I know TSA is going to get after me about. But there's still this weird sense of like guilt as you're being like scanned and patted down, and you're watching your bag go through the conveyor belt, and you're like, oh shit, what are they going to find? What if they pull my bag? Because I've had my bag pulled for jelly beans and I got yelled at for having them. She apparently, you're supposed to pull your snacks out and put them in the bin. I've never heard that before or since, or seen that before or since, so I don't know what this lady's problem was. She was just a little jealous of my jelly beans. But I could only imagine how scared he was when they pulled his bag and then found these guns. And now he's not, I'm assuming he was probably flying out somewhere awesome because he was flying out of Boston. So he's probably going to Cabo or Europe or somewhere to enjoy the off season. And then instead he's in handcuffs. for something that more than likely just happened because it slipped his mind. But it is what it is. At least it wasn't a Plaxico Burress situation where he shot himself or anybody else. As far as any other NFL news goes, I believe I don't want to jump from a bad story to another bad story, but it just came out today that Tyreek Hill is being investigated by Miami police for allegedly striking a man who worked for a charter company in the face, I'm assuming. Don't know any other details than that. I can only assume if he chartered a boat that it would be a crew member or the boat captain. And there's probably a lot of drinking going on. And someone wanted something or said something, and that didn't sit well with Mr. Hill. So it'll be interesting, not really to see what comes out of this for him, because I'm sure they'll just settle out of court, give him a little money. If he's smart, that's probably what he would do. But the real question is, how is this going to affect the Miami Dolphins season? Now, if Tyreek was smart, he would try and almost delay this process out, because I doubt it gets resolved before the season starts, but you don't want it to be resolved mid to late season, because now once it's all settled through the court system, and if he is proven guilty for this assault, now the NFL can step in immediately and issue a suspension. And that team has a lot of potential, even though they're a really hard division. Really hard division. They have a ton of potential, and you don't want to screw that up when it matters most by being suspended. So if I was him, I'd try and drag this out, actually, more than speed it up. But in the end, not let it go to trial. But we'll see. Who knows? McJam, you'd know more about that legal process than I would, because it all seems to vary. Some things happen, and all of a sudden it feels like it goes through the court super fast, and other things it's like, oh, that's still dragging on from years and years ago. So who knows? But I know for fantasy football that sucks. Like Jack Jones' situation is like that's bad, and not to be insensitive now talking about fantasy football when these guys have real issues going on in their lives. That's a real dick move. But from that perspective, you're talking about a guy who's on a defense. You're just going to select an entire defense. Yeah, it hurts, but it's not really going to stop you from selecting that defense if you wanted to. Now, Tyreek Hill, that changes everything. Now, that would make Tua less valuable. That would make I just said that. That would make Tyreek less valuable. And especially the length of suspension. I mean, it could be probably anywhere from 3 to 6 games. And what if it's the last 3 to 6 games and they're really close in the division or in the playoff race to get there? That kind of changes a lot. But other than that, the only other thing, unfortunately, that's going on in the NFL is contract disputes and where free agents are gonna sign. You got Saquon Barkley, who's sitting out and supposedly willing to sit out long term up in New York until he gets a fair deal. He's not signing his tender for the franchise tag. So now you got to think, are we going to have a Le'Veon Bell situation here? Is he going to be willing to sit out of real games, not risk his body until they give him real guaranteed money? And that's a huge gamble. I don't know if it necessarily paid off for Le'Veon Bell. You could argue he went on to make pretty good money with the Jets, and then he went on to win a ring down in Tampa Bay, even though he wasn't really used much in that running back room. I mean, he still got the ball here and there, and he still got the ring. So you could say in a lot of ways it paid off for him, but the amount of money that the Jets paid him, I remember not being that crazy, where it was like, oh, dude, I would have maybe at least played on that franchise tag for 2 years and then gone and done that because it wasn't like crazy significant. It was good money though. So you got to wonder, is that going to happen here with Saquon? And I hope not, because that's another guy who's a superstar when he takes the field. You don't want to see superstars sit out. It makes games less interesting. It makes fantasy less interesting. You want to see the best guys out there 100% of the time, even if it's your opponent. I mean, yeah, are were the Packers much easier to play if Rodgers was on the sideline? For sure, but was beating the Packers without Rodgers really anything special? No, that never did anything for me. Beating Rodgers with the Packers all healthy, that was what is fun, and that's what's most exciting for the game. So hopefully they get this resolved before the season starts. I want to see Saquon out there. Now, granted, when he plays the Lions, if he plays the Lions, I want him to suck, but I want to see him out there this year. And then you also have Delvin Cook. These running backs are struggling. Leonard Fournette's still out there, but Delvin Cook is probably the biggest guy out there right now in the running back realm. And he's probably not going to get what he thinks he deserves. And honestly, it's not even what he thinks he deserves. It's what he deserves. The dude's a beast. He made life pretty hard as a Lions fan going up against him. He is a huge back, powerful, fast. He stays healthy-ish. And he's had some injuries the past couple years here and there. But oh, look at that. This fucking guy. Is he actually going to join? Oh my gosh. See, he leaves me hanging, and then he just thinks he can hop on whenever he pleases. Oh, hey,
What's up, dude? What's up, guys?
That's awesome. I love the hat.
Mm-hmm.
Looks great.
Like the new background?
Awesome background.
Mm-hmm. It's
new.
What's
that jersey?
It's Shorzy.
Oh, from
Shorzy.
Well, yeah, but that's not what he's at.
Letterkenny.
He's Letterkenny.
But it's from Shorzy. Like the jerseys from Shorzy. What's up, boys? How you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. How are you doing? You
Good.
look awesome.
Just thanks, dude. Had some banana bread.
Pod wouldn't be the same without you.
Okay, that seems like a little shade, but it's okay.
No shade at all. I'm pretty lit over here.
What is your background? What is your background?
My background is a pretty basic wall.
Are you in a new place?
I am in a new place. I've been in a new place. I was in a new place last pod. It was this.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, it was. That makes sense. I missed the cow. Can we put the cow painting right behind you? I miss it.
You know what? We were going to hang the cow painting in the baby's room, but I do love that painting. So maybe I can convince Sydney to let me hang it up behind me.
Maybe you move it just for the pod.
Just have a nail waiting in the wall right here for it every week. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. Just hanging out in a jersey that I have no shirt underneath. It's for the ladies.
The ugly ladies.
Whoa. What do you call my wife, dude?
I didn't think you were talking about your wife, because wouldn't you have said this was for my wife?
What ladies do I have besides my wife?
Some creepers online that I think you were talking to right there. I would never say about Rosie. I
got creepers. Just creep. Yeah. Okay. And other than that, how do you, I don't know what you guys talked about, but how do you feel about the Lions rejecting Hard Knocks Part 2?
Disappointed in the fact that I just loved their Hard Knocks, so that was awesome. And of course I want to get that kind of backstage view of the team again this year, but I understand it. I mean, you're definitely putting stuff out there that you are risking in a way, you know. Like, they're pretty good about not showing anything too bad. They blur out a lot of stuff in the backgrounds, but there's still a lot of things about the team and whatnot that, like, you're kind of giving ammo guys to talk about on the field against you and like shit like that. So I understand not wanting to do it for a second year, and they don't have to. So
it'll never happen. I just wish the Steelers did one.
You don't think it'll ever happen?
Mm-mm.
So, and I could be wrong about this.
Does every team have to?
Not every team has to, but every year there's like a certain collection of teams usually that are almost obligated to for one reason or another.
I don't think the Steelers will ever be part of that.
Yeah, so the only way they would is if they had a really bad season and then they had like some big potential the next season, you know. But
didn't they do that with Joey Burrow? Or no?
Yeah, didn't they do one on the Bengals?
I think the Bengals was 2020 or 2021 or whatever.
So yeah, they usually Hard Knocks picks teams that are usually down on their luck, but have a lot of potential for a massive turnaround. That's like kind of been their shtick with it.
I think the only time that we would have maybe got it is Ben's last year because everyone knew it was Ben's last year. So what does the off season look like for Ben's last year? What are we doing? Like playing into that a little bit, you know? But other than that, like we have Kenny Pickett, who has been around for a minute. We have not a minute, a year, but like we did really well in the draft, but we didn't go crazy to where it's like this player is gonna change this franchise.
Right. And yeah, and that's usually what they try and go for, is like big young players arriving or just the team in general on an upturn. But here's the thing: if you made the playoffs, you don't have to do it. That's like you can automatically say no and not be in trouble.
We did not make the playoffs.
They make like other teams kind of be more obligated, but I know that they're struggling actually to get a team this year because the Lions said no, the Jets said no.
The Jets said no.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably doesn't want any more cameras there. Like the dude hates the media. Like he's not going to be cool with Hard Knocks, and like that's something he's never done either. Like the Packers are a franchise who would go to the end of the earth to avoid doing a show like that. So,
which is why I think the Steelers would never, because they're a very similar franchise.
Yeah, I could see that. So he's never done one. So he's certainly not going to do it the first year he's on a new team where he's already risking a lot of scrutiny if there's any bumps in the road, you know?
And then what team would you even want to? Because those two teams would be like my top two. Want to see like, okay, the Lions did really, really well last year compared to their like projection.
Right.
That's a perfect. Let's see what happens again, right? And then the Jets, of course, I would love to see Miami, but they made the playoffs. I would love to see like what the Bucks do. Like even the Bucks would be fun because like they're such a why?
Because they're a shit show right now.
That's why it'd be fun. I think it'd just be more fun because it's like,
yeah. I mean, I
how
see
bad
what
they
you're
are.
saying. I see what you're saying with that, and I think that would be interesting.
Or I mean, even like the Jags would be really fun. See Trevor Lawrence, 3 years, Urban Meyer's gone. Like, what does it?
That
like,
would be a good one.
Peterson look like in there? Like, what does it actually?
Be a good one.
Or maybe even
they're not obligated to.
The Colts would be fun again. I know the Colts have done it a couple times, but the Colts would be fun. They've got a brand new QB.
If they were to like make Richardson their number one right now, they haven't.
How do you not? But how do you not at 3? How do you not make it number one?
Yeah, he's going to be their number one at some point this year. It's just whether or not it's right away. So, but I think if they made him the number one right now, then they would for sure be a great candidate for
because who I can't think of anybody else that would be like really, really good. Maybe the Giants, but they made the playoffs. So
the Rams.
Yeah, they're trash, bro.
They're not trash. They lost Jalen Ramsey.
They were trash last year. What you talking about?
Yeah, but Matthew Stafford was hurt.
Doesn't matter. They were trash. He wasn't hurt for the full season. They won like 4 games, bro.
He was hurt for the full season. He just didn't miss the full season.
Hey, potato, bro.
It's not potato.
They still only won 4 games.
Let's talk about your ACL.
Okay. It's hurt. I can't play.
Yeah, no, but
No, I
yeah,
can't play. You can't play on an ACL. You
I
cannot play on
understand.
a torn ACL.
I understand. There's injuries that you can still just play with. So I'm saying
ACL is not one of them. I don't know why you'd bring that up.
if I wasn't all see, I was gonna be nice to you once you got on, but I fucking can't.
What do you mean
If
once I got on?
If I could crawl through that fucking screen right now and slap you, I would. I would slap the shit out of you.
Why?
Because you wouldn't even let me finish. I wasn't saying it's the same thing as an
You
ACL.
said like my ACL.
I'm saying imagine an injury like your ACL.
Well, no, because it wouldn't be like my ACL, because if you have anything like my ACL, you can't play the game.
Guess what? His injury was pretty fucking significant.
Why was he playing then?
Because that's what Stafford has always
done. What did he have?
Always
what
plays through.
McJam, what did he have?
Yeah, McJam, list everything that was wrong.
No,
not because he had multiple things. I think he had a
Really?
broken thumb, and then he had something with his back or something with his throwing arm, something significant. So something he fucking needs to do his job.
Look at Brock Purdy. He went out there. He played. He like couldn't throw a ball 10 feet.
Yeah, he passed off the ball every single time. I don't think
Tommy John's
single pass. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I stand by saying that was a stupid strategy. They should have put someone else in.
They did, and then he got injured.
I understand that, but then they went back to Purdy, is what I'm saying.
You put Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey was their third.
Yeah, that would have showed me that they were trying to win more than, oh, we'll just hand the ball off every single play. God, you'd think you'd come on here and be like easy to work with because you fucking missed it, and I just had to basically awkwardly have a conversation with myself and a little bit with McJam. But no, you come on here and you want to be contentious and you want to split hairs and you want to take my words and twist them and take them too literally, kind of like what you did with the fucking outline last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, you're lucky that you're in Nashville, my guy. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. So McJam, what was his injury? Does it say?
We're talking about Matthew Stafford, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he's had a lot of injuries, but just in the past year, he's had a toe sprain, an elbow infection,
that's not
an elbow sprain,
it's not,
and a head cranial concussion late of 2022, and a spinal cord bruise.
Spinal cord bruise seems pretty serious.
Yeah, that's borderline paralyzed, my guy.
The first one was basically a stub toe. The second one was
I get those all the time, and guess what? They hurt.
They don't keep you from playing. And then the second was the infection was wild. That's wild. What the fuck is he getting?
Yeah, that's probably gross.
And then he stubbed his elbow. Okay. And then he had something on his non-throwing.
Okay. If you sprain your elbow and your job is to throw the ball over and over, and you got a bruise on your spinal cord, yeah, you're probably gonna play like shit. So that's why the Rams are exciting.
And my job was walking over and over again. I had to do it.
No, your job is to run that mouth. And you're great at it, but that is your job. You're very good at talking. You did not have to move that much. I bet you anything. Your range of movement was
in the beginning,
10
sure.
cubic feet.
No, in the beginning, it's more. I had a brace on though. Just fight through the pain, bro. It's me right now.
And that's what Stafford was doing. But now he doesn't have to fight through the pain, because I've had so many Alexisms, by the way, since you haven't been here. It's almost like this podcast won't allow itself to go on without them. So whoever's there is getting them. And it's just, but because he's feeling great, they're going to be so much better this year. And they just lost Jalen Ramsey, who I'm not denying is not a Hall of Fame talent. They also lost who's the guy who went back to the Seahawks? Totally blanking on his name.
Oh, did Bobby Wagner go back to the Seahawks?
Yeah, Wagner. Thank you. So they lost those two guys, which is pretty significant for the defense, but that offense is going to be so much better this year.
I mean, how is it going to be better?
That's an exciting team for Hard Knocks.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's fun, and it's like, and Sean McVay is about to have a kid, and
yeah.
I
So
mean,
all of that,
you know,
because
it
Hard
would be,
Knocks plays on the personal side of
but
everybody. So
I mean,
that's
like, who
good
do you?
shit.
But the thing, dude, they always play on the rookie. Who do you follow on that team? They didn't have any fucking first round draft picks. They traded them all away.
I feel like you just, I mean, you find whatever rookies that they do have, and you follow that because that's exciting. You follow the guys who are trying to make the team. But I
And
think the focal point there is Stafford and McVay.
I feel like you want to see I want to see the Browns.
They would not do that. The NFL would not allow that.
I know, but
it is too close. Maybe in a couple years.
Deshaun Watson's first mini camp back or whatever it is, like
not happening.
Come on.
No way.
You know, okay, honestly, dude, I have a love-hate relationship with Hard Knocks.
Why is that?
Because I really love it until about episode 6.
Oh, when they start cutting guys?
And then it gets way too real. Like way too when you're like, oh, these are football players. Oh, they make this millions of dollars.
They're having fun.
Oh, this guy just got fired on like live TV.
Not only did he get fired on live TV, but he's in a spot where he may not go anywhere else.
And it's like,
who knows what happens to his career?
Yeah, and it's like, hey man, and some of it sure it's like, but like, and some of it was sad too because it was like, oh, they cut these 6 people, and we only brought these 2 back for practice squad, and so it was like, oh, so these guys got like fired, like
that was hard because they tell a story in each episode, and all these guys, you learn about them, you learn their background, you see pictures of them with their family, maybe you even see them with their family. It was
so hard.
And then it's like, oh, by the way, he's not really going to be on the team.
It's like, oh, by the way, this is a business.
It's hard to watch. Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, it's a business. I forget, like, dude.
This is why they call it Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it was so.
It's not the practices that are hard. It's this shit.
I thought it was me that was supposed to be hard.
Not on this podcast.
Oh, that's my bad.
Maybe on the podcast with the ladies you were shouting out earlier, but not on this one. Sorry.
Ladies. All I know is, that was too real. Because this was actually the first time I've watched Hard Knocks. Like, this season was the first time I've watched Hard Knocks.
With the Lions? Like, before, was it just watching clips?
Yeah, he's seeing clips and stuff like that. So I didn't really know that like they like cut people. I was like, oh, you like show it, you cut people. That's fucking awkward.
You show the meeting, you show them after, you
and
check
it's like
them.
And it's not just like, hey man, thanks for like practicing with us, you've been great. It's, hey man, you didn't do these things right, and so we're cutting you. And it's like,
that's why I was happy to see that they either practice squatted some guys or the rest of them
got picked up.
All got picked up somewhere where it's like, okay, you're still getting another opportunity.
Well, because that Pemberton guy, right?
Pimperton,
something like that.
I remember it being something.
Yeah, went to New York.
Yeah, he went with the Giants.
Your backup QB went to the Vikings, which kind of sucks.
Which is funny because now all he has to do is go and play in Green Bay, and he'll have played on every team in the NFC North.
He's been on the Bears?
Yeah, he was on the Bears before the Lions.
Hell yeah. He just bounces around NFC North's teams. And then I don't know who else. Oh, then the guy from where was he from? What was his name? The other guy.
I know you're talking about the one who was sitting in the tubs.
The bath scene.
Aiden.
Aiden. He was from so awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward.
He was from was he from London?
No, he was from.
Was he from somewhere in Africa?
I think he was from somewhere in Africa.
Because I remember him saying like he's only been playing football for like 2 years or 3 years, something like that.
And which is super impressive that he got a D1
and he
scholarship.
He went to Memphis, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He went to Memphis.
He went to Memphis.
And he got picked up somewhere. In fact, he may even been one of the guys who just
He got
got
practice
put on the
squatted.
practice squad.
He got practice squatted for sure.
But yeah, that situation was awkward because they basically I guarantee you, a few minutes before that situation, they told him, "Oh, hey, are you gonna take an ice bath after practice? Oh, cool. Well, we're gonna pair you guys up. You're both rookies with completely different paths to the NFL. Why don't you guys talk about that?"
But
And
Jam,
then
just to
left him,
lay it out there. Just lay it out there. This guy, I don't remember his name.
which I feel horrible about, and I'm gonna look it up.
Horrible. Well, look it up.
This.
What it felt like was, hey, you're poor. You came from a non-football background.
Right.
And you are not that great at football and you're not getting it. We're going to pair you with the number 2 overall pick from a football family that came from money, the two literal polar opposites you could get.
Yeah.
And we're going to make you two have a conversation about what it's like to be in the NFL together.
And it wasn't that he wasn't good. I mean,
it's just he wasn't picking up. Like obviously he's not going to pick up exactly. Like
he's brand new to the sport. They're still
playing football. He's been playing football for fucking less time than Hutchins was in fucking college.
Right.
It's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Of course he's not great. Like it's.
And I hope the best for him, honestly, because he looked like he had the size and he
was a
had
big
the mentality.
kid.
Oh yeah. So I kind of hope it works out for him, but that was such an awkward situation because they were just like,
could you imagine that,
McJam,
though?
these
Just
weird
like
questions.
That's the two, like, and then they're like, and scene.
Yeah.
Like, what? It was not. I saw
it was a great segment. No,
that
was honestly probably the second worst segment of the show, besides for the cuts.
Oh, the cuts were rough. And then what was rough too was like, okay, I get you have to play to the emotional side, but like the family interactions were so fucking awkward.
Yeah, they did some interactions with Rodrigo and his family, and it was like, okay, like it's cool. Like I it's cool to see where these guys come from and who's following their career closer than anybody else, but it is awkward because it's people who aren't used to being on camera having to just act normal on camera.
And then also one thing that I'm sure he signed off on it and it was okay, but to just air out Reynolds' brother that he was just like in prison, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how that. I was like,
so reality shows, which is exactly what this is. They cattle prod's kind of a mean term, but they prod for story. So anyone who's going to be on camera, they're going to find story in you in some form, and maybe it's something in your past or it's something you're doing on the show, but no matter what, if you're going to make screen time, you're going to have a story. And they probably were learning more and more about him, and then we're like, oh, this is fantastic story. Do we have permission to kind of do this? And he clearly signed off on it.
Yeah, he obviously did.
He clearly wanted his brothers to be a part of his story. But they will always find something.
And that's awesome. I'm glad that he's part of your story, but that was just like, that is gnarly. You're just talk, and like they set it up as like, this is my brother. He's been like the lightest. He's been like the light in my life. He's like done it for me. He did make one mistake though, and then like they show him when he's in prison, and you're like they did not set it up to like that he was going to be in prison. That cat came out of nowhere. What you got, McJam? I see you off of mute. What you got?
Just so we have a name to the story, I believe you're talking about Obina Ize.
Yeah, Obina Ize. Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
What do you have a status update on him? Where
is he on the practice squad of Detroit? That might be, that cat is like staring at my soul. Oh my god, dude.
It's my Borat.
I believe he's an unsigned free agent right now.
Ooh.
Well,
obviously didn't do well on the practice squad
somewhere.
Yeah. Damn, that was pretty gnarly though. One thing I always remember about Hard Knocks is I was watching something on Barstool, and this guy goes, I pitched KFC something. You let me watch Hard Knocks. It's called Hard Times with Hard Knocks or something like that. And it's like, let me watch Hard Knocks drunk and in Japanese. And then I have to give a synopsis of what happened each week.
That sounds actually pretty awesome.
Sounds like a great time.
This is gonna happen this year?
No, they're not gonna do it. I mean, we can do it, but they're not gonna do
We
it.
should do it.
Just like watching it like in Japanese but drunk. So you have to figure out like what's going on. But everything, no subtitles, and everything's just in Japanese.
Yeah, I like that.
And then you have to give a synopsis of like what you think happened in Hard Knocks.
I'm actually open to doing this for real.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. It sounds like a funny time.
Especially depending on what team they end up going with.
Yeah, if it's
It's kind of weird they haven't been able to nail anyone down yet.
Because isn't that like 2 weeks away that they need to start like filming?
I don't know if it's 2 weeks, but it's certainly
because it's before preseason, right? Because they show the preseason games. They show the preseason.
No,
games, right?
yeah, but it's before and it leads through preseason.
Yeah,
it literally goes until like the very start of the season.
Yeah, and then they might have another in season. I didn't watch the in season.
I only saw clips of the in season because, quite frankly,
the Cardinals.
The Cardinals pick aged poorly on that. I think when they probably determined it was going to be the Cardinals, they thought they were going to be much better than they were.
And then they lost Kyler.
Yeah,
and they didn't have DeAndre
but like Kyler actually was with them.
He was because he was game 12 or something like that. Yeah, they lost.
He was with them when they started, and they weren't good at that point either.
No, and no one cares about him. Whoa, what's up, McJam? You put yourself in a new place.
That is cool. I didn't know you could do that.
So apparently, Hard Knocks can force teams to be on the show.
Yep.
So the New York Jets, Chicago Bears, the New Orleans Saints, and the Washington Commanders, because they don't have a first-year head coach in place.
Right.
They haven't been in the playoffs the past 2 years, and they haven't appeared on the show in the past 10 years. So even if they deny it like the Jets did, they could force them to be on the show.
Even if they didn't, honestly, Jets or Bears, I would love to see what the Bears got going on. They're going to be a good team this year, hopefully. The Chicago Justin Fields are like one of my favorite NFC North teams.
I'm not denying that they might be pretty good this year.
They're not going to be great. I'm not saying they're going to be great.
There's nothing about them going on this offseason that's like, I need to see what's going on there.
Honestly, the Commanders would be fun too. The Jets. Honestly, all four of those teams would be fun because the Saints just got Derek Carr. What the fuck's going on over there? That'd be fun to see.
That'd be good.
The Commanders, what the fuck is going on over there? You know what I mean? Who's their quarterback? What is their defense is still dirty. What does that look like for them? The Jets would be fun just for Aaron Rodgers, and that defense alone would be a good time.
For real.
I think the Jets are the only option, really. Like, honestly.
It would make for the best Bears, television.
Oh my! Or it'd make for the worst television.
Why?
Because like the Jets are a scary pick too, because sure they can force them to do stuff, but then they can't force them to be good on TV. Is that, you know what I mean? Like they can't.
No, I know what you're saying, but I think that'd be funny because Aaron Rodgers would be in a pickle because he would either have to just go along with it, or actually, now that I'm saying this, I was about to say, or he'd be a complete dick, and they may show some of that on camera, but I don't think they would because
they got to protect the rapper.
Jared Goff wasn't really a part of the Lions Hard Knocks. He was very minimally in it.
Yeah, why?
Very minimally.
Maybe he didn't want to be.
He hates Hard Knocks because of how they made him look when they did
the Rams.
So he was like not cool with Hard Knocks at all. Now, granted, he doesn't have a say, and I'm sure the Lions fell in the pool of obligation.
And also, it makes sense too.
Didn't have a chance last year, but he was barely in it. He was in it when Eminem was there, and they showed him saying hi, and they
but
think
that
they
was like an
did a
interaction
little thing with
between.
him.
That was like an interaction between them, and then like they did the whole like QB obstacle course thing. Remember that?
Yes, yeah, I do
And
remember
that's when
that.
he was in there a little bit, but it was
Yeah.
like but it was following the backup QB versus the starter. It was following Blaine or whatever his name was. And so I don't know. I just think I think the Jets would be fun, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers would be in it. I think they would go because Jets are cool too because you have Brees Hall coming back from ACL.
Yep.
You have Sauce Gardner and Quentin. Oh man, that
And
defense
you
with
have
all the
Wilson, Garrett Wilson.
Wilson, and you might follow him, right? And you have
Yeah, I feel like
Lazar.
that'd be a big follow. And
Lazar's
Sauce.
new. You have Wilson, who's like still doing well. He's in his second season, so like you have like some good potential there. We also have good potential in New Orleans with Derek Carr, Olavale, that defense. What is that coach going to do? You know why? And I just would love to see if they say anything about the Raiders and why he didn't take the deal and he just got cut and got signed. I don't know if they would ever say anything about that, but it just sounds like it'd be fun to see what happened there.
They wouldn't. That wouldn't be on.
Why don't they do the 49ers? That'd be fucking hype.
Playoff team. They don't have to.
Oh, true. The Jets were in a playoff team?
Nope.
Did they miss it by one game?
They missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs.
That's
Robert
right.
Saleh's been there a few years now.
That's right. That's
and
right.
They haven't been on it in a long time. I think maybe they did one with Rex Ryan there.
Has the Steelers ever been on Hard Knocks? I'm going to say
not that
no.
I know of. I don't think so. I know the Ravens have been, but the Steelers no.
I don't think the Steelers will ever be on Hard Knocks.
Well,
I guess that makes sense.
Here's the problem.
Well, I guess that makes sense too. Like we might start coming up here, but we made the playoffs for like fucking 12 years straight. Like we
didn't make it this year though, right?
No, we didn't make it this year.
If you don't make it next year, we'll be eligible.
Yeah, we got to make it this year. But that does make sense and that makes sense that Tomlin would not want Hard Knocks. Tomlin doesn't seem like the type of guy that wants Hard Knocks there.
He may not have a choice.
If
they don't make the playoffs this year, it would be dumb for Hard Knocks not to do that because how often are you going to get a chance where they're going to be obligated to do it and you haven't done? And so I'm assuming Hard Knocks' goal is to eventually do one on every team. And they just have to basically wait it out until every team falls into an obligation. The Patriots should be falling into an obligation.
They made the playoffs last year.
Not this year.
They made it last year.
Yeah. What I'm saying is they're in the same boat. So actually now you actually might get lucky because if you guys both miss the playoffs,
they're gonna go Patriots.
You have another team that's like, when are we gonna get the chance to do them? Type of a deal.
That's the thing too, is like what team do you think is worse that you can maybe get the
but
next
also
year?
What team
do you think would be better?
Not necessarily worse. Yeah, what team has the potential to be much better the following year? That's really what's going to be the key.
I would say like if you wanted to get the Steelers, this would have been the year to get them.
You think so?
Yeah, because I think this is not a make or break year for Kenny and Najee. But if they don't do better, they already went 9-8. Like if they don't do better, like you added some good weapons. Your defense is still crazy as ever. Yeah. TJ Watt's not injured. Like if you don't do better this year, you know what I mean? Like it'd be weird to like have, I don't know. I don't know if like, I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. Tomlin's a lifer. Even if he has a couple bad seasons, like he's earned the right to have a couple bad seasons. Like he's earned that reputation to like.
Yes, in the sense that he can go on a dry spell for a couple years, but only a couple. Like he's
I'm
gonna.
not saying like fucking 10 years. I'm saying like we still went
I'm
9
saying,
and 8
like,
last year.
Saying if he doesn't make the playoffs in the next
5 years.
Less.
You don't. No.
Yeah.
Because the thing is too. It's like we'll also remember. I give him more than that because the GM's brand new this year, so you're gonna get more then. Because this is the first time we've had a new GM drafting.
If
And
anything, that actually hurts him because that GM didn't bring him in. So
yeah, but the GM has been like in that line for a really long time.
Okay, he's been a part of the organization a long time.
Do you know the Steelers? Come on.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
They don't outsource at all.
But think about it. You guys haven't had a serious run in the playoffs since 2017.
Yeah, something like that. 2017 to 2018.
And you've made it a couple times since.
No, we made it. This was the first year that we missed it in a while.
Okay. Yeah,
this was right. This was the first year we've missed it, and I don't know. But
it's been pretty quick eliminations.
So last year was the 2 years ago was really quick. The year after that, we made it past the wild card, made it into the divisional. And then we lost to, I don't remember who, but then the year after that, I think we lost in the wild card. And then the year after that is when we did pretty well. I think it was like 4 years ago since we've done something of relevance and so in the playoffs,
If you didn't make it this year and you guys don't make it the next 3 years, I think Tomlin's out, whether he wants to be or not.
Yeah. I mean, and like 2 years ago, you can't even sure, whatever. Like we didn't do that, but it was Ben's last year. You're not sure you want to win the Super Bowl, but he's so fucking old. You're not expecting to go to the Super Bowl with that old man. I love him to death and I want to see him get another Super Bowl, but I knew. Yeah. That team just wasn't that team. Broken. Yeah. And he's broken and it's whatever. That whole offensive line was not done, but done. Right. It was just it was inevitable. And the worst part about it too is we lost to the fucking Browns.
Yeah, I remember that. I was about to say that.
We lost to the fucking Browns, dude. It's the worst part about it.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield playoff win.
Baker Mayfield, his first fucking playoff win.
And then they screwed Baker.
And then they screwed him. Literally the next year.
Yeah. But look at Bill Belichick. People are already wanting to put Bill Belichick in the hot seat since he hasn't had success since Brady.
He made the playoffs last year.
They won the Super Bowl in 2018 but now people aren't happy.
Yeah, but that's Patriots fans. They're not that loyal. They are loyal when you're spoiled. Good, but they're spoiled. Steelers fans are loyal, to a fault.
You're saying your fan base isn't going to call in 3 years. No playoffs, no playoffs, no playoffs. Your fan base isn't going to start calling for his job.
I think I think the Steelers have a tradition of holding a coach for a really long time. This is what our tradition is. We've had 3 coaches since the 60s. We've had 3 NFL coaches since the 60s. It's not that is
football has changed immensely since the 60s.
But our fan base is not. It's still that blue collar. We work, we put our heads down and we work. And that's what Tomlin is. And that's why we like him.
And I agree with you. But let me paint you a picture. 3 years has gone by.
Mm-hmm.
No playoffs, no playoffs, no playoffs.
It's get rid of Kenny. I think that's what it is.
Probably for sure.
Well, no, I think that's what
who has just 1 ring, right? Or 2? Is it 1?
He has 2. No, he has 1.
No. I feel like
no. Okay, Bill Cowher won. The thumb.
Yeah, Cowher got the one with Ben's first.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got 1 ring.
Mm-hmm. A bunch of playoff appearances.
How many conference appearance?
At least 4.
Okay. So he's 2 for 4 in those conference games.
We should have won 10, or we should have won. Was that 15? No. When was Rogers?
Against
15?
who?
Rogers.
Oh, the Super Bowl? That was 20. No, you had it right. That was the 2010 season that
7 we
that
won.
ended in 2011. It was the 2010 season that ended in 2011.
7 we won. 11, 10, 11 we went to. And then 15 was the comeback year. No. 16 we won? No. 15 we won against the Cardinals, right?
16 you definitely lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
No,
I think
you guys beat the Cardinals in 2008, 2009.
No way.
Yes way. McJam is shaking his head. Yes way.
In the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl. I remember watching it. I was eating a Subway foot long.
When
I was rooting my ass off for the Cardinals.
When was the Seahawks Super Bowl? Was that 5?
Which one?
The Seahawks
against
was that 7? Was that 5?
Was 05 in Detroit.
I don't know why I had 07 in my head. I have no idea why I had it as 07 in my head.
It was the 05-06 season.
So it was 5, and then it was 9, and then it was 11.
Yes.
Because okay, cool. So we had and then I know we lost to Brady twice or 3 times in the conference. And actually we lost to Brady a lot more than that, but we lost to Brady 3 times in the conference finals. Or twice, one of the 2.
My point is, now 4 years without the playoffs.
Twice.
1 Super Bowl ring. The last Super Bowl appearance being well over 10
years ago. Yeah.
Only made it to a few conference games that you weren't able to get over the hump since then, and then dwindled down to divisional round.
Yeah, I couldn't
wild cards.
I couldn't even tell you how
There's
far
gotta
we
be
made
some
it
people who are gonna call for his firing
in the last 9 years. I think the farthest, probably last 6 years. I think the farthest we probably made it is maybe conference finals.
Right. And guess what? Now you don't have the Patriots to worry about, except now you have the Bengals and the Chiefs. And so you have other great
and the
teams
Jets
in the AFC.
And the Miami Dolphins.
Well, we'll see with the Jets.
And
they've got a lot of potential, but we got
the fucking Bills. It's not an easy.
So I feel like your fan base is going to be highly motivated to want to be one of those contenders again.
Well, this is the thing.
Not that I want to see Tomlin fired.
This is the thing. If not Tomlin, then who?
And that's a great point.
And what you got to remember too is Tomlin is a defensive coach,
right?
What has always been fucking great for us. Even defense. Till this day, right?
And that's Steelers football right there.
It's really just our offensive coaches. We'll see what happens this year. You guys
have a new coordinator on offense or no?
No. I'm just saying, we'll see what happens this year though. It's so weird because we play Steelers football on the defense, but then on the offense we use a fucking short pass as a run.
Yep.
50 fucking times a game. That's not.
Well, it's because your O-line wasn't
great.
Allowing you to run.
It wasn't awesome. It wasn't 55 times a game worthy though.
Yeah.
Hey, you fucking learned how to run it down the throat with people. Come on, dude. And Najee, you're big enough. Run. Stop.
Yeah, I feel like Najee was almost avoiding
contact.
Yeah.
He still hasn't been paid yet.
Can't do that. And I get that. I get that. I mean, the dude
he still hasn't been paid yet.
Talented not to secure his money. I do get that, but that level of play isn't going to get you that money either.
True.
The results aren't going to come from it.
They did not. Well, the Steelers did way above what they should have with how well they performed. They should not have been 9-8. There is no way that team should have been 9-8. But just looking at it and like, okay, you're telling me this reminds me of the fucking Kansas City Chiefs with Alex Smith. Your fucking number one receiver had 0 touchdowns.
Yeah.
How is that possible? How is that possible? How is that like how? Like I understand like maybe he wasn't your number one towards the end of the season, but he was still definitely your number one at the beginning of the season.
Right.
For the first 4 weeks. How do you not get 1 touchdown in the first 4 weeks? 5 weeks even.
Just at all.
Yeah. You know how hard it is, like as a number one receiver to not catch a touchdown. Like it's got to be hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wonder how disgruntled he was about that.
Oh my god, dude! It's like not that he didn't have chances. I wonder how many drop catches he had last year and the touchdown. That'd be like, just makes no sense. His name's Deontay Johnson for you if you were looking it up, McJim.
He's certainly not the number one right now, though.
No, Pickens is.
You could possibly, depending on how it plays out, I wouldn't be surprised if Robinson looks more like the number one and then Pickens becomes the number 2.
You don't think that they trust Pickens enough yet?
It's not that I don't. I just think Robinson has the
veteran status of like,
yeah.
And I could see that too, because it allows Pickens to still be that number 2 option and get the reps and learn, because that's what happened to Juju, dude. I tell everybody all this time, he's a really great number 2. Like, but when you take AB, whatever you think about Antonio Brown, I'm talking purely on the field. One of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. His route running was insane. His hands were insane. If you took the 4 or 5 years he wasn't crazy and like just played football, holy crap, that man was great.
Well, speaking of Juju,
fucking Patriots, yeah, I don't think so, dude. Number 1
right now,
over there.
He's the number 1.
Yeah,
so right now,
fucking
he's
dummy.
Gonna get exposed. It's gonna go right back to the Steelers after Antonio Brown left.
He wasn't even that good of a number 2 in Kansas City.
So it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots sign
Hopkins.
Hopkins, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Because then Juju becomes super, super valuable at that number 2 role there.
He wasn't even that valuable. Well, okay, the thing is, I think the Chiefs had too much going on. For sure. For Juju to shine. Like, they're fucking great. It was what makes them so good.
Travis Kelce, I think they got the ball way too. Not too much, but like,
even besides Kelce, you had Pachinko that was fucking coming out of nowhere. You had McCall Hardman was still on the team, right? Hardman. He was killing it. Like, you had the
dude they got from the Giants.
Who? Who did they get from the Giants? Oh, Kadarius Toney.
Yeah,
Kadarius, bro, my guy.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a crowded offense, and then you have Patrick Mahomes, who sometimes just takes the ball himself. You know,
it's very crowded. It's very crowded to like.
But like Travis Kelce was by far getting the most targets there. So
Travis Kelce is literally like, you don't need a number 1 receiver when you have Travis Kelce.
Exactly, and so I think that really helped Juju this year. And to be honest, he didn't really do much. He was good, but he wasn't like a standout in any way.
Yeah, and then I don't know how they're gonna do, and especially in that division, they're for sure gonna be last place.
You think so?
My thing is, I understand you're like, I don't know about the Jets, I don't know about Rodgers. He's gonna do good regardless. Like, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna do what Aaron Rodgers does. Is it gonna be a Super Bowl? I don't know. Is it gonna be the playoffs? Probably, but like, he knows he's only gonna play 1 or 2 more years. So like, there's no way he's not gonna
I wasn't even talking about the Jets.
Oh,
I do think they'll be good.
I think so.
I don't know. I wouldn't put them in that category of the elite of the AFC just yet.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about their division. I'm just talking about their division.
Right. No, I know. And so I wasn't talking about them as
then
in that
the
division.
Bills.
I was talking about the Dolphins.
Okay, yeah, 100%. So the Jets and the Bills are for sure going to be above them. The Dolphins, if Tua can play, they're going to be above them. Like, if Tua plays, they're above them. 100%.
That's the thing, though. If Tua
plays.
Hurt, gets a shot.
He's got
to the
that new
head.
helmet though. You see that new helmet?
I did see that new helmet, and I did see all his, training he's doing to be able to handle the hits. But
Bro,
God forbid if he gets hurt, or
why? Okay.
if Tyreek Hill misses some time,
Yeah.
after hitting,
but they still got Waddle. They still got Waddle.
They still got Waddle, but come on. I mean, Waddle is much more dangerous out there with Tyreek Hill on the other side of the field.
Waddle is an amazing number 2 and a good number 1.
Yes.
He's a better form. He's a better form of
Juju.
Juju.
Good, but it'll just be him.
He's a better Juju because he can actually be a number 1. It may not be the best. It may not be like you may not want him as the number 1, right? Like as the number 1 target, but he'll do good. Where Juju was like, oh my God, dude, like, come on. I mean, I can't say anything because we just had Deontay Johnson this year as a number 1, and he's fucking trash.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand, like, not, but you can't catch a touchdown?
Well,
like,
was Kenny throwing a good enough ball to him?
Probably, dude. Stop.
How do you go from being the clear number 1 target on the team to not catching a touchdown and it being solely on you? The quarterback has to take some responsibility.
Okay, there. I will say this.
Say it.
Hold on.
Say it.
Hold on. Let me look at something else.
Because I bet you he barely got any targets, and I bet they certainly weren't red zone targets.
Hold on. I feel bad now. Hold on.
Are you checking your watch to see how wrong you are?
No, I'm trying to see something real quick. Hold on. Because it's pretty bad. No, my bad. That's on me. So he did have. Wow, this is pretty trash. Okay, I did not realize how bad we were last year. So, oh my God, bro, this is really bad. Okay,
I'm waiting.
Kenny Pickett was I think he started game 5. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And then he missed two games. I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 games because he got injured, and Trubisky was back in. So,
I mean, he missed games when he was out there too.
Yeah, so 2,400 yards. You're dumb. He had 2,400 yards. Okay. Not great. Not horrible. Okay. This is where it gets a little dicey. He had 7 touchdowns.
So many.
And 9 interceptions.
Can he pick it?
Yeah, man, dude. And then Najee.
I feel bad trashing him because I don't even have anything against him. Okay. I just don't like how
Najee did
promote him
surprisingly well this year.
He got better towards the end.
I thought it was way worse because he had an average of 3.8 yards per carry. Because I thought it was, I legitimately thought he had an average of like 1.6. I thought it was that bad.
I would have guessed 2 something.
He averaged 1,000. He had 1,000 yards this year, 1,000 toward 34, and 7 touchdowns. Not bad. That's a lot better than I thought.
Those all came later in the year.
Yes. And then this is where it gets me. You have 86 receptions, 882 yards, 0 touchdowns.
How many receptions?
82. 86.
How many targets?
It does not say.
Because if that target is...
So I will say he had the highest receptions on the team.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Dude, I know it's weird. Pickens only had well, actually, I don't know if that's true or not.
Does it say anything about red zone targets or red zone catches? Or because like
I think you're asking too hard for this one
on that part of the field. They
were
using him to get down the field.
So he had 52 receptions, 601 yards. My bad, 801 yards.
So he only had 52 catches, not 86.
No, this is Pickens.
Oh, Pickens, sorry.
So he had 30 less receptions and 60 less
But
yards.
I feel like if we reviewed the tape or looked more at in-depth statistics, it would show that he was used more in the red zone.
But also he was only started 12 games.
Right.
Versus Johnson starting all 18 or 17, whatever the fuck they play now.
So, okay. I mean, yeah, no, it's fair to say that Pickens is above him in the depth chart going forward. I'm fine with that. I just I feel like that drop off to go from the clear number 1 to no touchdowns also has to fall onto
Let's see.
Kenny Pickett.
Let me see this real quick. And now we're getting into it. Okay. Games play 17. What the fuck
While
is going on
you're looking that up, I just want to tell you how hard it was once again to single-handedly carry this podcast.
Okay, you're done.
Kind of like I'm doing right now. While
You're
you
done.
stare at your screen.
I'm
I have
just
to
trying to
carry this podcast. Hey, did you bring an outline for this week?
Nope, didn't
Any
have one.
things to consider?
Nope, didn't
Nothing
have
that is making you getty?
Didn't have one. Okay, so he had 0 touchdowns. He had 882 yards. He had 147 targets and 86 receptions.
140 targets.
147.
That's a
86.
Lot.
That's a lot.
Compared to how many he's caught. So is he dropping balls, or is Kenny throwing these a mile away from him, but that was his target?
Well, let's see. Well, let's see what Pickens's was.
Yeah, that's fair. It's probably, fairly close as far as if it is more on Pickett, if he's overthrowing balls.
Okay, he had
with Pickens.
84 targets, 52 receptions. So
we're gonna have to go back and before next pod and watch some game tape of Johnson from this past year, because I want to see
100%.
I want to see if he's dropping passes. I didn't watch a lot of Steelers this year. I let you kind of let me know.
It just it feels like he was dropping a lot of passes. From what, as a fan, it felt like the year before he was catching everything, and this year he was catching nothing.
So maybe he even falls further this year and becomes more of a number 3. Kind of like what this podcast is supposed to be. 3 Amibros.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. It never is, bro. We suck.
We do suck. But guess what? We're going to continue to suck, because we're going to be back next week, sucking even harder. I just want to thank all of you, whoever you are, who sat through my one-man podcast. Enjoyed Alex and I riffing a little bit back and forth here, and we'll see you next week.
But before we go, Allen Robinson had 52 targets.
You showed up late, so we're signing off.
33 receptions, 3
Allen
touchdowns.
Robinson. How many?
3 touchdowns, 33 receptions.
Yeah, he had a shit year with the Rams. He had no
better than a Robinson
chemistry with well, it's not even that he didn't even have any chemistry with Stafford. It's that Stafford was still just eye fucking his boy Cooper Kupp.
I mean, I would be too. I'd be eye fucking him too.
When he was throwing balls or attempting to, that's where he was going.
And if you're not eye fucking us on socials, what are you doing wrong? Go over there. Go follow us. Yeah, go follow us. Go eye fuck us on socials.
Check out our TikToks. And come back next week,
when we might be the 3 of you bros.
We better be the 3 of you bros. I'll be sad.
Yeah, we haven't had Jay on here in a while. Feels weird.
This is a couple.
Feels like a part
but
of
I
me is
missed
missing.
too, so it feels like it's longer.
Yeah, I mean, so I missed it. I started with me. I'm sorry, guys. I missed one, and then Chris missed one.
Yeah.
And then Jay's missed two.
We've been really bad lately. But next week we'll hopefully maybe totally sort of.
And none of you know this, but
100%
McJam missed one as well. But you guys don't know that because you didn't,
McJam lurks in the shadows.
in the shadows. He's what Gotham needs, not what
He's
Gotham
always
wants.
there, even if he's not.
He's what the three Amibros needs.
Speaking of McJam, before we get off here, I just want to give a nice
I
golden
think
star.
Alex is getting off. Oh, okay.
Golden star to Chris today.
Oh my God.
First off, for
So
just
deserved.
manhandling the potty by himself. Additionally, went in depth about his love for NCAA football, the game, which I'm very passionate about too. So golden star goes to Chris.
Rigged. It's rigged.
It is what it is, Alex. I mean,
I won last week. Did I?
No, McJam.
No, we didn't have one. We didn't have one. I won 2 weeks ago.
Out last week.
I won the week that
the gold star was reserved.
You were not here.
Yeah, you did.
We really got to get a thing made up so that we can have something posted on social about who won the gold star.
Maybe that's what I'll put up back here. Is we'll actually have a board.
The gold star winners
and put gold stars. I'll order something on Amazon.
Does that mean I got the silver star though?
That does not exist. You're just trying to make up awards now to make yourself feel better.
All right, boys. Bye.
Hey, you got the Tardy Award.